Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adobe Fonts Show.
Hello.
Hello. I see Ariadne has joined us in the chat. That's very exciting. You may have noticed that Ari is not next to me right now for the Adobe Fonts Show. Somebody new has arrived. We will get into that in a second. I'm Ben, by the way. Hello, everybody. If you've been here before, you know who I am. This is Cathy. I'm in Brooklyn, by the way, also. So this is Cathy. I'm going to let Cathy introduce herself and tell us a little bit about what she does at Adobe.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It's my first ever live stream.
Whoa.
Very exciting. Yeah, so I'm Cathy. I'm based in San Francisco, but currently I'm back home in Vancouver visiting my family. So I'm hijacked my dad's office here. You can see all his books. Um, yeah, so I'm a designer on Adobe Creative Cloud Services team. I've worked on other services, but mainly focused on Adobe Fonts. So
Super
I
cool.
majored in information science in college and then graduated 2 years ago, and Adobe is my first job.
Awesome. Well, we're very excited to have you today. We're going to be doing some logo design practice and getting into all of that. Before we do that, let us know in the chat where you're all from. Cathy's coming to us live from Vancouver. So
Yeah, I see
Canada
someone else is
represents.
from Canada. Rick is from Toronto.
Yes, Rick.
Hi.
Awesome, Rick. Ladine, Mike, Ari. I think Ari is across the pond somewhere. So
Yeah, I think
that's
she's
fun.
in Greece.
Yes, joining us from Greece. And Gareth, Viola. Awesome. Megan, Sean,
Hi,
welcome.
everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Again, I'm in Brooklyn. And I'm Ben. Most of you probably know me by now, but I'm on the Adobe Fonts team making content. I started in support and answered a bunch of questions about everything related to Typekit back then, and then now Adobe Fonts, of course. And then transitioned into making things like this live stream and other videos. If you've seen, feature update videos on the Creative Cloud channel about Adobe Fonts, you've probably heard my voice before. These dulcet tones have probably, warmed your ears at some point in the past. So, yeah, keep an ear out for that voice as we launch new features and other things going forward. It's exciting stuff. So today we have a poll for everybody in the chat. And we're going to dive into that really quick. We just wanted to get a sense of how people feel about choosing fonts. And we have you can use one of these numbers to let us know in the chat what you
This is
think.
a hard one.
It is a hard one. And I don't know if I did the best of splitting these up, but I think we should be able to narrow down a little bit. So we have easy peasy, confident, and fun. We have still trying to work out my taste. We have not sure why this font over that font. And we have, I just go with my gut. Don't overthink it. So, Cathy, where do you think you fall in this world?
This is hard, but I would go with number 4. I
Yeah.
think I just go with my gut.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
did it take you a while to learn to trust your gut? Or how did that, did
I
that
think
evolve over time, or did you just go with it right from the start?
I think it definitely does evolve over time. Sometimes I would second guess myself, but your intuition, there's something to it. Like if you find one font, if you choose one font over the other, there's definitely reasons for it.
For sure. And we're getting a lot of fours as well in the chat. So you're not alone there. And
Ooh,
we're getting a lot of twos and a couple ones.
1.
I
Yeah,
think
and a 3.
I think two is a good place to revisit, even if you're go with your gut and you don't overthink it. I think when you have time to sit down and refine your taste or explore new stuff, definitely worth revisiting two on purpose and going, maybe there's new things I can add to my library or to my favorites.
Mhm.
Um, so, and then also, I think for me, I go back between 3 and 4. Um, I don't really know sometimes why one font is better than another font or fits better. And I might do a little research after that if I'm not sure, if I can't quite tell why this font would be better than this font. I might look into the fonts a little bit more, see where they came from, see if that kind of sparks
Yeah.
anything or makes sense. But
Reading
usually,
about the foundry,
yeah,
reading
exactly.
about the
Learning about the
meaning of the
foundry.
font.
Yep, exactly. And then maybe something from that will make me go, oh, I'm just going with my gut. But usually I'm working fast and need to just make things happen. And so I try to trust my gut as much as I can. I see we have some new people joining us. Michelle,
Hi,
Roberto, Kevin,
Michelle.
Carol, so cool. Mindy, Lorraine, Lisa, super cool. And keep those answers coming. And I think we have a pretty good mix of 4 and 2 seem to be the two leading ones,
Yeah.
which is great. So hopefully we can help you figure out a way to kind of refine your taste and find stuff that you can just go with your gut on. So the topic today is practicing logo design. And Cathy is primarily a UX designer for us. Cathy, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do for the Adobe Fonts and Services teams in terms of design?
Yeah. So I mainly work on the Adobe Font service. So most things that you see on our fonts.adobe.com, and also the font menu that's in our iOS apps. You may see there's a new font menu that's in Illustrator on the iPad and also Fresco on the iPad. You can go in there, you can see all the live previews, you can see tags right in your font menu on your canvas. So those are some things I work on.
Super cool.
I can probably talk on and on
Yeah.
about some things I work on, but
Well, we'll
those
have
are,
you back in the future and we'll talk about UX design. We'll dive into that at some
yeah.
point in the future. I think that would be super fun.
Yeah, so I'm definitely also here to learn with everyone. I don't specialize in logo design, but I think there's a process with design that's very interrelated. Um, the process I use for UX design, from ideating to practicing and finding inspiration, to coming up with ideas and choosing one. And it's also like choosing fonts is very related to logo design.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. You ready?
Yes, let's
Awesome.
get started. So I will walk through the steps I would take to design a logo, and hopefully we can all learn something new through this process. So typically, to start off, I first determine what my target audience is. So that might come through a client brief if you're working on a project with a client, or if it's like a school project, there's a prompt. But for the purposes of today, we will design for this imaginary candle company that I made up. Lately, I've been really into candles. So my candle company is going to be called the Candle Company.
Whoa.
I know,
Whoa.
real creative, Cathy.
Left turn.
So you can see I'm on Behance, and Behance already knows I've been looking for candles. So right away, they're showing me some candle pictures. So I can go ahead and type in candle design. So before I even look for imagery, there are certain things that come to my head. So for example, when I think of candle, I think of warmth, minimalism, connecting people, peacefulness, all these words that kind of jump out at me. And I can look at some imagery and be able to kind of mood board a vibe that I'm going for, and find fonts and use images. And so this not only gives me inspiration, but also is a good way to do a little bit of like competitive analysis on what other candle companies are doing.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely, just scrolling through here, you get a sense that there are these kind of themes or vibes that kind of show up again and again, and you can kind of pick where you want to go and where you want to move.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and it's also good to bring inspiration of what color palette to use for the logo. I'm seeing a lot of
Ari asks, what kind of scents will these candles have? And the logo has to make sense. So,
right,
yes. So
right.
you can let us know what they're going to smell like. Maybe you said calm, peaceful. Maybe it smells like camping, or maybe it smells more like, cedar, or are you thinking more like beachy ocean? What do you think?
Mm, I like beachy.
Cool. We'll go with that.
Yeah, there's some, I'm seeing some earthy tones. I'm seeing some sunset pastel colors.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've dragged some images into Illustrator here from Behance. So you can see that on my canvas, I have everything in one place. And that will really help me when I'm designing to be able to refer to it. And over here, I started to generate a color palette. So this is really easy where you could make rectangles, and I can option drag very easily to create more and just kind of sample some of these colors that I might want to use.
Now, how did you do the sampling there?
Yeah, so I clicked the eyedropper tool
Oh,
over
cool.
here, and then I can click this. Very easy to do.
Awesome.
So now I have a color palette to go with.
I'm feeling these are definitely warmth here, but also kind of muted, calming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So next, I think we're ready to find some fonts.
My favorite part, honestly. I mean, I know
Yeah,
I'm biased, but this is the best part.
me too, me too. So I'm on the browse page. And what's great about the browse page is that I can view all these tags and all these classifications, and properties. So off the bat, we already talked about some of the vibes we were feeling with the candle. So I think I can associate clean, maybe a luxurious, it's very elegant. So a lot of these tags are very helpful in helping me hone down the choices since there's so many font families to
Right.
choose
There's
from.
upwards of, I mean, we're getting close. It was over 19,000 fonts in our library. And so the tags definitely come in handy,
Right.
narrowing things down and helping you find what's going to fit whatever project you're doing.
Yeah, so the first thing I always do is to type in my sample text so I can see what the title of my candle will look like with the fonts I'm choosing. So here I've also typed in all caps since that might just be a better choice sometimes. So I clicked clean, wanted to look at how these clean fonts look like. They're very minimal,
Yeah.
very nice. And I can switch over to luxury and also look at these.
Jake says that candles got to be classy. And,
Yes.
but I would just say, classy, it's in the eye of the beholder. So, I mean, if it's a Halloween candle, what does classy mean then? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I like how these look. So this is the luxury tag. And
Yeah.
and it's funny because so the clean tag, I feel like you do see a different vibe between the fonts.
Yeah,
But there's
that
a much more
one has,
unified kind of look under clean.
right.
These are
There's a lot
very,
of
yeah.
sans serifs where there's a lot of serifs here.
Yep.
I think both would work. These are more, I guess, professional or like elegant, where the other ones are elegant too, but it's more simple and minimalistic, I would say. So I
Yeah.
was also seeing some high contrast fonts in the Behance inspiration. So I want to see how that looks.
And you could just see sans serifs in luxury if they are in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And get a sense of that.
And I also want to point out this properties, the stylus letters here. So So I can play around with the slider. So sometimes when I'm designing a logo, I might want to see fonts in different weights. So this allows me to filter down the families by ones that have 3 or more, or I can even use like 4 or more styles in the family, which is a great tool to have.
Nice. So you know that you'll have some options when you get into
Right?
your app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ari and Jake both said they like Pheno Sans. So just saying,
Ooh.
they were into that. I think that was a little bit. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this one too. And I actually quite like this font as well. This little droplet here kind of reminds me of the candle drippings, the wax drippings on a candle.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
And this one too, a little bit. So now I can remember these font names and bring them into my Illustrator. So what I can start doing is write out the, oh, would you look at that? It's already in Quiche Display.
How did that happen?
Yes, I just
Did your
really like
future
that
self
font.
know? Like you can read the future, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You can see the future.
And
Ooh.
so what I like to do is create a bunch of text boxes with the name in it, like those rectangles for colors that I did. I can option drag and copy that same text box and be able to change the name of that font.
Nice. Honestly, I like how all of these are looking.
Yeah.
Um,
So I can also, so right here I have all caps, but I can go ahead and turn that off to see how these look like without
ooh.
all caps.
I do like, it's funny, once I get used to the all caps, then the, lowercase characters look new and refreshing. So it's hard
Yeah.
to tell if I just like it because it's new or if I like it because it looks better, you know?
Oh, I think I accidentally wrote this in all caps. Oh, did I do that?
I think the font might just be
Oh,
in all caps.
I
Yeah,
see.
it might just be an uppercase font.
Yeah.
Cool. But you can see that lowercase is a different width than the uppercase. You see? They're
Yeah.
a slightly different width, it looks like.
Yeah. What I can also do is find ones that are different weights. So remember when we filter down the font families by ones that have more than 3 weights. So
Yes.
it's also good to be able to compare those and see which one works better.
Yeah, so there's kind of several things you can test out here. There's
Mm-hmm.
the case of the letters you can mess around with. You can mess around with the weights and styles, and then you can mess around with, well, then you can get into other things like the leading and tracking and those other, the kerning
Yeah.
and things like that as well. But that's, I think, a little bit further down in the process, probably when you're near ending, when you're sending this to the client for the final is probably when you would tweak some of those things.
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you think, Ben? Which of these fonts speak to you?
I'm definitely leaning towards the uppercase. I feel like the lowercase, we would use that if it was the candy company and not the candle company.
It does kind of look like
Yeah.
Candy
So
Company.
if we were going candy, I would say let's go with lowercase. So I'm thinking the uppercase is the way to go.
Yeah.
And honestly, all three of the choices fit with what you were going for. I think I'm still attached to that ball terminal with the C where it kind of looks like a candle drip kind of thing. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
a good place to start to iterate on.
And later down the line, when we're designing the logo, we can use all the fonts in the logo that we're designing to compare them. So one might look better now, but in context, another one might look better. So just keeping them here and being able to refer back to these fonts.
Yeah, I think that's good. Kind of saving your iterations as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always go back and kind of see what you were doing before.
Yeah. So one thing I want to show is that we can do different orientations for these texts. So I can go over here and click vertical type. And right now it's light. Let me change back to regular.
Oh, Kevin made a good point that the D and L in the lowercase kind of looks like a candle. And you could put a flame in between.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But he also agrees that candy does kind of make sense for that lowercase. But I just thought that was a cool thing to spot. And
yeah, definitely these metaphors of candles, flames, they're all important. Like I like how this looks because of the wax drippings, and if something looks like a flame or a smoke, those are all great metaphors to attach to these.
That's a great point, kind of keeping your eye out for those things.
Yeah. So I think this font even just looks good, like simple like this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a little bit long, so I might just want to do the candle co. And maybe up this so that the weight looks similar.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked a little thin when you shrunk it, when the type size went down.
So I like to just do a bunch of different logos and not just have one and keep them all on canvas so I can compare them later on.
Yeah, do you have any kind of ballpark idea of how many like sketches or iterations or things you'll try before something starts to solidify? And I know sometimes it goes really fast and sometimes it goes like, I write songs sometimes and sometimes they just come to me, but sometimes I have to try a whole bunch of stuff to get something good going. Do you have any sense of like how many times you have to iterate?
I think for logos, I would make at least 10.
Okay, cool.
But today we probably won't make that many, but at least maybe 3 if we have time.
Cool. I think it's good.
Choosing.
It's good for people to remember that if you don't get your great idea the first time, that is nothing to be concerned about. That's
right, exactly.
Some of the funnest stuff happens on the 6th or 7th or 8th try where you're like, I don't even know if this is worth trying. And then you try it and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
Jake is saying 93,000.
The perfect number. I mean, let's be honest. Why didn't we say that in the first place? What were we thinking? 10, 93,000 for sure.
So I just had an idea. So someone mentioned like the D and L in a candle. So we can use like the shape of the candle as part of the logo.
Yeah.
So I just created a rectangle and I can go here and kind of drag the corners in a little bit. I think that looks like a candle. Can look like a candle.
Yeah.
And I want to use this, and maybe it would cut through this. Ooh. Need to hold down Option and to drag it.
Nice.
So I want to cut a line through this shape. Is that straight? Oh, that was a white line. Whoops. Okay. So here I can align it, horizontal and vertical align.
Nice.
And then there's probably other, maybe easier ways to do this, but I like to find pathfinders here and divide. So this would just divide my shape into two.
Cool.
Yeah, so I want to cut out these lines so it's just kind of like the hamburgers without the lines. So under the eraser tool, there's the scissor tool. And I can choose my 2 points. Oh, that didn't work. I feel like there's a better way to do this, but this is what I do.
Hey, gets the job done.
Yeah. Illustrator is great. There's so many ways to do a lot of different things.
Now, if you're trying to do something like that, but you don't know how to do it, so like if you were like, I want to split this up, what would you do? Just kind of YouTube or search split shape or some cut shape in half or something like that.
Yeah. I do wish that I just want to get straight to the point, but some YouTube videos are very long.
Yes.
Yeah, I always just Google. Candle, maybe a little wider. Oops.
Nice.
And for we can even use a different font if we wanted to.
Whoa, 2 fonts?
2 fonts. So we can go back to Adobe Fonts website, and I'm thinking we could use maybe a script font for that, or a cursive brush pen font.
Jake said TikTok videos have great advice these days too.
Yes, I learned from TikTok how to fold my yoga mat so that the back of it doesn't get the front of it dirty. You like fold it in half and then roll it.
Whoa.
I learned a bunch of things from TikTok these days.
Super cool. And Annika says hello to both of us and also to Ari.
Hello.
Hi, Annika. Thank you for joining us. So you're thinking script font for the That doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Ooh,
I feel like too, this reminds me of, there's a band called The Band. That's the name.
The Band.
The Band. Yeah. So you're in good company.
Cool. Oh, what I also want to show this. So when you go into a font, you can see that we have recommendations for fonts that are similar to that font that you just chose.
Cool. As if I didn't know that already.
I worked on this feature, so I'm very proud. I want to tell everyone about it.
It's very useful.
Yeah. So I can go back to my Illustrator and type in the. So I found some nice fonts. What's that one called? Leap Gerda. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. I was trying to scroll down here. And turn the all caps off.
Oh yeah, much better without the all caps.
Yeah.
For this.
So I wanted to show some open type features here. So when I'm comparing some fonts, what's the other one that I was looking at? Grapholita.
Grapholita.
So some of these fonts, I know Liebgerda and Spumante, hopefully I'm saying these names right, have open type features. So if I hover over one of the letters, or
Ooh.
both of the letters, you can see that on canvas, I have all these options for this E.
Very cool.
I can use that.
Ooh, I like that kind of slightly uppercase one. Yeah, that's cool. And if you're digging this Glyph Palette stuff and this open type stuff, we did a stream with Ulrike Rausch from Libafonts demonstrating open type features in Illustrator and InDesign, as well as many of the cool hidden features of Libafonts fonts. That's on our Behance for Adobe Fonts. So check that out if you want to dive more into open type. Very cool.
Yeah, and the Glyph palette here is great. Aside from having on canvas, you can see all of these T's and T's with tails. And I also wanted to show that there's these fonts, some of them have these ornament glyphs. So we can even add some ornament glyphs.
Very cool. Ace asks, I need mathematical symbols and Greek symbols. What's the best way to find those fonts? Currently, we don't have a way to search for mathematical symbols specifically on Adobe Fonts, but you can search by Greek as a language filter. So that's what I would suggest for that. And that should give you a nice list of things to kind of focus on and try out. So yeah, and hopefully we can bring some browsing around math symbols and whatnot in the future. But many fonts support the basic math symbols that you would need. So if they're not highly technical or highly specific, chances are the fonts in our library will support them.
Yeah.
So which font did you end up choosing here that you're trying out?
I'm trying out all of them.
Nice. Ooh, and where did that little symbol come from?
So that is in Spumante, and they have all these cool symbols.
Cool.
And this kind of reminds me of a flame in a candle.
Yeah. I think Kevin suggested that also the N and D in the uppercase look like a candle. I wonder if you put that symbol right above in the middle of the N and D, if it would look like, if it would kind of harken to you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Or like maybe right above the N and D on the candle, right in the middle there. I don't know. Oh, so the other side of the D.
Oh, N and D.
Yeah. So it kind of looks like, okay, didn't pan out the way I was hoping. Doesn't quite look how I was hoping, but I love that idea.
Maybe if this was like a lighter color.
Yeah, maybe. Anyways, it's fun to see those things and try them out and see if they work. I actually liked how you were placing things before even better. But it was worth trying out. And actually, you're right. At different colors, it kind of blends in a little
Yeah.
bit better.
Ooh. Yeah, I would just play around with this a lot,
Yeah.
and see what everything looks like, and never get rid of anything before you, or even at the end. It's good to just keep everything there. I also wanted to show converting these to outlines. So converting them, I just did that, and then right click, create outlines.
Right, and now they're
Um,
shapes that
yeah,
you can just manipulate rather than text. But you
right.
copied this over so that you could go back to the original text if you wanted to.
Yeah, I have ran into problems where I created outlines and I forgot what font I was using and can't retrace.
Visual
So
search
always
on
good to
Adobe
have that.
Fonts might help in the future if you run into
Right,
that problem.
yeah,
So,
that's a good point. So I can just move these around.
oh yeah, cool.
And you can also manipulate each of the glyphs. So this N, I could um, click these corners. Oh, I want both of these.
Nice. That is now reminding me of a candle drip of wax
Yeah,
as well,
it
all of a
does.
sudden. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I could also do that to the end here. Um, so that it extends up.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. This is starting to look a little long.
Nice.
How does that look?
I like it. I feel like that N could also be used by itself. The N shape that you've now created could be used by itself almost as like a symbol or a monogram or on its own.
Yeah,
So you could pull that in into different contexts and just have it be there as part of the branding.
right. And sometimes branding, there's not just on the candle, but there's like brochures that come with it.
Yeah.
There's different types of packaging. So different variations definitely would work. We could also pull this symbol here again. Maybe I want to make this a little darker. I guess that's okay. And
It's funny when you're working on one example, I'm so focused on that when you zoom out again, I'm like, oh yeah, there was a whole bunch of
oh
things
yeah,
that we
there was
tried.
the other logo back there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the Glyphs palette is definitely worth looking through for those kinds of symbols
Yeah,
and marks and things that you just they might be the final touch to just give you what you're looking for.
yeah. Just gonna copy that over. So I think I like how this logo looks. And once you experiment with different ones, you kind of have preferences of the one you like more, um, and can like just start experimenting with that single logo.
Now, how many do you think you would end up with before you showed them to a client in terms of options? Obviously, Jake wants to show 93,000 to the client. or thereabouts, maybe 90,000. Not all of them, but how many would you normally show if you were going to?
I'm hoping that I have kept them in the loop this whole process, so it's not like a surprise when I show them at the end. So in the beginning, I might show a few and see if I'm going into the right direction.
Cool.
And then probably at the end, three options, at least three options,
Cool.
but not too many.
Yeah. You don't want to overwhelm them with choice.
Yeah.
Alicia asks or says, I'm learning so much just by watching, which is fantastic. Great job, Cathy.
Hey.
And I never realized what a source these lives are. Are these recorded and accessible later? Yes, they are saved to the Creative Cloud YouTube channel under Adobe Live and will be fairly easy to find after this. And you can also go to Behance live streams, the live stream section under Behance, and find all of them there as well. So I'm glad you're getting use out of this.
So I just blew this one up
Ooh.
and changed the opacity a little bit. Let me just bring this to the back.
So that's now feeling very beachy to me, because at the larger size, it kind of reminds me of a sand dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does a little bit. So it just depends on what kind of vibe we're going for. And you don't even have to decide at this stage. When you show a client, they might want to see what this looks like on their actual candle, on their packaging.
Yeah.
Since it might look good here, but in context, it might look completely different. So what I will do is take one of these. I can take this one first. Copy. And switch over to my Photoshop. So what I did was I went to, oh, look at that, dogs.
So cute.
I went over to Adobe Stock and searched up, I think I searched up like candle labels or something, and then found an image of a candle and brought it over to Photoshop.
Yes. This is super helpful, I think, showing clients what things will look like, on a label. Jake said context is key. I completely agree with that. I think that really helps people, especially people who don't do this every day, just see what it would look like on the packaging or on a billboard or on a van or whatever. I know for me, when I actually see a design on a t-shirt, that looks totally different than when I'm just doing the artwork by itself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice to have it there to show the client so they don't have to kind of visualize or imagine themselves. So this one here has some text on it. So I want to click the lasso tool and remove this bit.
Nice.
And I go to edit, content aware fill.
Nice.
That looks about right. There's a little there, but okay. And I paste that design. I think the little sand dollar didn't paste. Outlines, there we go.
Oh, nice.
I forgot if I was in Photoshop or Illustrator. There we go.
Right, you have to hold shift or it might skew it, you know.
Yeah, I think in Photoshop, you actually don't need to hold shift.
Cool. I already thought it looked like a logo before, and it's starting to look even more like a logo now.
Yeah, and you can see that the logo is like in a rectangular box, but this label is a little bit arched. So I can click, transform, and warp it into an arc.
Super cool. I feel like this is a feature that people might not know about or might stay away from because it seems kind of crazy, but it's super cool and it's not that hard to use if you just mess around a
Yeah.
little bit.
And maybe we want to rotate it a little bit.
Yeah.
There. How does that look?
It's looking pretty good to me. And Sean said that you can also bring it in as a smart object and warp it to the jar. I haven't tried it that way, but it's good to know. I think there's a couple ways to accomplish this kind of idea, but warping
Yeah.
it, angling it ever so slightly, it looks like that. Let's zoom out a little bit. I kind of want to see it, what it looks like a little bit further away. Yeah, that's looking like a label to me. And so would you do basically 3 versions of this with the different logos maybe? Before you sent them off to a client? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and potentially if there's like brochures or anything else, just also putting it there. And if it's designed for a t-shirt, like showing where the logo is, maybe it's like in the middle or like on the top, and what the back of the t-shirt looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like too, you could have the Candle Co., on their storefront and then the candles and then, whatever else is happening. Nice. Yes, I feel like I want to go to the beach and bring this candle with me at nighttime. I feel like what smells are we getting here, people? What do you think? I feel like we're getting maybe, something that smells a little bit salty and then a little bit like maybe a warm flower. Like what's a warm flower? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but
And even just the difference between these two logos, like this one makes it look a lot more beachy. This one, like this symbol looks like a flame.
yeah.
So even just placement of things really makes a difference.
Ari mentioned that on the really dark jar, it might be good to darken the text a little bit for the logo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We could try that and just see if that kind of helps make it stand out a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe pull some of the browns of the jar. I wonder too, if the candle, you might even change the label based on the color of the candle. You could change you could have a color palette for the logo that actually fits the different areas. I mean, the different colors of the candle, the actual candle itself. If it was a clear bottle, for example.
Yeah.
Nice.
That looks a little darker.
Yeah, it does. Let's really quickly see what it looks like in context.
And paste that as a smart object this time.
Yes. Oh yeah. I feel like that ties in with the color of the bottle a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of brings some of that brown warmth to the front. Oh yeah.
Like you said, I can sample this color too. I think that looks pretty similar.
Yeah, I like it. Sunny says cedar wood and sandalwood. Could not agree
Yeah,
more.
I see a lot of sandalwood here.
Bergamot. Oh, I love bergamot. So good. Mike says salmon, which I think you're messing with us. I feel like salmon flavor. You know, that would be like at a. That reminds me of every flavor bean. You know,
Mhm.
salmon. Um, salmon candle does not sound refreshing. That sounds like a punishment. Yeah, bergamot, sandalwood for sure. And I do like the darker color. I feel like it pops a little bit more with that brown bottle. But like I was saying, if the bottle was clear, you might change the logo to fit the color of the candle,
Yeah,
you know? So that's definitely an option.
for sure.
Awesome. Well, if anyone has any questions, we're not quite at the end. We are, but we're getting pretty close to the top of the hour. So if you have any questions about logo design or Adobe fonts or comments on candle flavors, or let us know your favorite candle, throw that in there. Oh, Jake says salmon candle would be great for cats. That is definitely true. I think that would be like
I didn't know that.
a new level of catnip. Ooh, I wonder if there are catnip flavored candles. But I think a salmon flavored candle would be good for a cat. I just wouldn't use it inside. I would put that outside for the cat when they're on the porch or, hanging in the backyard. But I don't think I would put that in my house. That would be rude to guests. Ari said this turned out so good. Yeah, I think it looks really cool.
Hey.
Yeah. And again, really quick, you went through Behance, you got images and stuff that you wanted to kind of be inspired by, and then that gave you a color palette and that also gave you some words to work with, like warmth and
Yep.
beach and these things, and that kind of helped you get to your font choice. And then you just experimented and
Hmm.
messed around until something started to kind of solidify, and yeah, turned out fantastic.
Yeah, I would probably even use more fonts and try out different things.
Always more fonts.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
always for more fonts.
Awesome.
93,000 fonts.
Well, if anyone wants to follow Cathy or check out what Cathy is also up to, she has a website, which you can find here, and also Instagram, and also follow her on Behance if you are so inclined and keep up with what she's doing. We would definitely love to have Cathy back to talk UX design and maybe get a little bit into the nitty gritty of your day to day and how you use fonts in UX design. I think that's an interesting area, just because I think people think t-shirts, they think posters, they think logos for fonts, but fonts are just as needed in UX design as they are elsewhere.
Yeah, fonts are needed in everything.
Yeah, so maybe we'll take a look at that. That would be fantastic. If you think that's a good idea, let us know in the chat, and also follow us and send us some feedback. If you liked this stream, you should definitely check us out on Behance at Adobe Fonts, and on Twitter, Adobe Fonts as well. We answer questions on Twitter. Anything related to type or fonts, shoot us a question. Let us know if you want to see future topics covered that have to do with fonts on Adobe Live or on our stream. Check us out. We also stream to Behance directly as well as on Adobe Live. And our next episode will be on August 25th. And that is going to be exploring logo and text animation. And I'm going to use some of the logos that we worked on today that Cathy made to experiment with animating those in After Effects. So if that sounds
Yeah,
like fun, you should definitely join us. I'll be solo, so I'll need all the backup I can get in the chat. So it would be fantastic to have you join us there.
can't wait to see what you can do with the logo.
Yes, and I'm new to this. So again, I'm not an expert. I'm going to be kind of feeling it out as I go and learning as I go. That's how I do most of the creative things that I do, is I just open up, After Effects, and I look for tutorials and I try to figure out how I'm going to get stuff going. Cathy, do you have any other resources or things you like to go to when you're looking for tips or tricks or techniques or inspiration outside of Behance or anything like that?
Yeah, like Jake said, TikTok is a great place.
Nice.
The videos are very short, so that's something I like if I'm just nothing specific, just wanting some tips, quick tips and tricks. Just searching like Illustrator hacks or Illustrator tips. Photoshop tips, logo
Cool.
design, things come up. And also Pinterest and Dribbble are content heavy platforms where there are a lot of imagery. Just like looking at those pictures gives me inspiration.
Awesome. Well, check out those resources, everyone, and tune in for our next episode on our Behance. Again, follow us at Adobe Fonts. Thank you so much for joining us today. Cathy, thank you so much for putting this together and for sharing your practice with us today. It was fantastic having you.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.